Amen, brethren. Brother Riley, here it is today. Time to talk about what I call the spirit of the race card. I call it the spirit of the race card because I know that most people know that the race card that people play is really not legitimate, and I want that to be utterly clear. And I want to be able to explain, I want to break these things down, the race card, break it down on several different levels. And because this subject brings up a couple other subjects, I'm going to go ahead and talk about those things as well. So I'm going to talk about the spirit of the race card. We're going to be talking about the reason why God split up all the nations in the first place, and also who is the one leading the world. Is it a specific race? That would be an interesting topic as well. But I want to break all these things down. This is going to take a second, so grab your coffee, hit the pause button, and don't forget to come back. And then we'll watch these three different topics: the spirit of the race card, why did God split people up in the first place, and is there a specific race that's ruling the world right now? That would be an interesting topic to hear. So, touchy subject, so please give me some time. Of course, if you're racist, you're not going to heaven, because God wants all people to be saved. God made everybody, and we'll get into that, why God split everybody up in a second. Okay, so we'll start off with this one. It's called the spirit of the race card. The spirit of the race card. I say actually what it's called is the change the subject card. That's really what that actually is. The race card is just something people use in order to change the subject when they don't want to deal with something. It's really what it comes down to. We'll get to that in a second here. Of course, there are people who are actually racist or whatever. We'll get to that in a second too. But that's generally not the case. It's just something that no one wants to be associated as I'm a racist. So they fear that title because it's such a horrible thing, and everybody knows that. So that's why people put that on them, so they can use it to manipulate or control them. So really what it is, it's a self card. It's not a race card, it's a self card. It's a self-preservation and self-exaltation. Two different ways that people, whenever you are living a selfish life, you're always trying to make yourself, you're preserving yourself. I don't want anything to go wrong to me, and I do want to exalt myself. I want people to recognize how great I am and known for all the great things I've done, all the great things that I am, and also nothing can ever go wrong for me. So it's a self card. I want all the privileges, and I want no punishments. I want all the freedoms, but I don't want any restraints. I want nobody to restrain me from doing whatever I feel like doing. I want all the blessings, I want none of the curses. I want all the respects and no degrading me. All these things. Whenever someone's living for the self card, these are the things that they're truly living for. It's not about race, it's not about anything else, it's about self. Myself wants to be known as all the great and not as anything bad. Anything bad said about me, burn them alive. It's kind of this kind of an attitude. I want all the respects, all of my truth is really what it should be saying. All truth and no correction. It's let's stick to the topics where I can look good, or twist it to make me look good, but don't correct me, because I could never be wrong. And if they do, it's always, oh, I was so stupid. Stuff like this. It's still a self card. The spirit of it is still as dumb as the race card is, and so we want to be able to expose this, change the subject card, or the self card is really what it's all about. It's the self nature that God says He wants you to deny. If you plan on making heaven your home, if you want to follow Jesus and go to heaven, you have to deny yourself card and stop playing that card and lying to yourself. I want all good to happen to me and no bad to happen to me. And some people are so evil that they're so embedded in their self card that they actually wish bad upon other people. It's that bad. They want so much good for themselves and so much bad for other people. It's very, very scary stuff. So the self card here, we can break it down over here. This is a really touchy topic. Anti-black. Are we anti-black? Is people who are white, are they anti-black? Are they responsible for the things that have happened in early America? The answer is, of course, no. I knew a gentleman who was very Caucasian, and he lived his whole life hardly ever around black people at all, around our African American brothers and sisters. It was very foreign to him. And so he told me, I look away. I don't even look at them because I'm so nervous that they're going to think I'm looking at them or thinking bad about them. So I just avoid it altogether because it's just so unfamiliar to me. And I know that just natural human behavior is we generally tend to get around things that we are familiar with. And if we try to avoid things that we're not familiar with, it's not because of a race issue, it's because of an unfamiliar. It's a not familiar issue. That's what it really is. Unfortunately, it does seem sometimes that there are neighborhoods that are predominantly African American, so we can call it a black neighborhood. Are we against you because of what neighborhood you're in? No. We don't care what neighborhood you're in. Are we against black? Is there people who are against black people because of their skin color? The answer is 99% no. There are people who are truly dumb enough to be that way, but I'm just talking about the normal people. For the general rule, that would be a definite no. Are we against you because of your African culture? No, we're not. Just because I don't want to participate and just because I wasn't raised in that doesn't mean that I'm against you. I'd say 99% of the people are not against black people for being a part of African descent cultures. They wear some of the African clothing, the hat and such like this, the attire, no problem. The gang member thing. Now this is what I would say is breaking a rule for everybody. When it comes to being a decent Christian, we have our Christian standards, and then when it comes to being a decent human for just community and just being for the good of the universe, being a gang member is not good for anyone. It's just hurt people, or people who are in a lot of pain, or they're a lot of pride, and they gather to the gangs in order to do evil things. And the gang member is not good for God, and it's not good for the good of the universe, so therefore it is bad. Am I anti-black because you're in a gang? I'm anti-gang. Okay, I don't care what color you are. If you're part of a gang that's up to no good, hurting people and breaking laws and breaking rules and playing your self card and doing all these things like this, then yes, I'm against the behavior. I'm against the plans and the things that you do. Gang initiation, where you have to go and kill someone to be a part of a gang, I'm clearly against that because it's against God, it's against the good of the universe. Anti-bad attitudes. If there's any color of people who have a bad attitude, I'm against it. If they live for the self card, red and yellow, black and white, whatever color you are, if you play the self card, if you live the self card, you have a bad attitude and your vibes are bad and it makes everybody uncomfortable. It's not good for God and it's not good for the universe. It's got nothing to do with the color of your skin. It has everything to do with the color of your wicked spirit and your wicked heart that you can hide sometimes, but other times people can see it clearly, and that's what people are not okay with. It has nothing to do with your skin. I remember one time I saw an African American girl out close to Dayton, Oregon, where I used to live, at the gas station, and she gets out and she was looking around like she was so uncomfortable. And I understand that, but when she's uncomfortable, I was uncomfortable. I just wanted to look away just to get away from the awkward vibes. I wasn't in a mode where I could say, "Hi, how are you? How's it going?" or make a joke. Like I usually like to joke with people when I'm feeling good. I joke with people at the gas station, at the grocery store. I like making people laugh everywhere I go. I don't care what age they are. I don't care what anything they are. If I feel the vibe is on to make a joke, then I make a joke, make people laugh, make them feel better for the day, and kind of get them through their day better. I love to do that. That's one good thing I can offer back to the world. But she was uncomfortable, and when I see people uncomfortable, it makes me uncomfortable. If I'm not ready, if I'm not in a mood to be able to do anything about that. So vibes is hard for people. It's not because you're black. It's because it's unfamiliar or it's uncomfortable. That's all it is. Even if you didn't do anything wrong, it's different enough. People are generally going to attract to what they're familiar with, what's normal for them. And if say a black person that I know people who've said they barely ever talk to black people at all. But if someone who was black and they came up to them and they talked polite and asked them a simple question, they would give them a simple answer and be polite to them back. That would be probably nice for everybody because it would be like, hey, we're kind of mixing together. We don't need to be split. We can find places of unity, and we ought to have unity among all colors in America. I'm glad that America has a lot of different colors of people. For me, I'm all of them built into one anyway, so it's easy for me. And whether I was as white with carrot top hair, or I was really dark skinned, all kinds of different descents where people have very extremely dark skin from India, or I've seen a gentleman who was from Puerto Rico, or he had Puerto Rican in him. I don't know what else he was, but he was extremely dark skinned. And then obviously other people from Africa. Some of the African people have very light skin. Some of the African people have very, very extremely dark skin. It's really, really cool. But now I forgot my point here. But anti-black, most people are not anti-black. All they are is anti-unfamiliar. They try to get away from things that's unfamiliar. They try to get things if someone's uncomfortable or it's a bad vibe or they got a bad attitude. I've heard one story from a lot of my writers. In Michigan, there's actually there's a lot of white people and there's a lot of black people, and there's plenty of Mexican brothers and sisters as well. I got to drive a lot of cool Asian people as well. So I've been around a lot of people and have been for a long time. And like I said, I'm all races and built into one anyway. I'm Filipino, Asian, Filipino, Puerto Rican, Spanish, German, and Irish, and possibly Chickasaw and Cherokee Indian as well. Whatever that is, I don't know, and I don't really care. But God bless everyone. What was I saying? I keep forgetting my train of thought. But one girl told me something really interesting. She said that she has a good job, she got a pretty good money going on, and she was able to move into an area that was a little expensive, and everyone there was Caucasian except her. And she said, literally, 2 different gentlemen kind of nonchalantly, kind of politely approached her and let her know that they didn't want her kind in her neighborhood. And she's like, what kind are you talking about, kind of thing. So it made her slip over into the spirit of if you want me to be an N-word, then I'll just be an N-word. That's what she said. And so it makes someone feel unwelcomed, and so then they start showing that attitude. And then it makes it more uncomfortable for everybody, So what we really need to do is get through this video and show some more facts in order to help people know that we don't have any reason to do that. If everybody can just be polite, believe what you want, you have freedom of religion, but you don't have freedom to hurt people. We have other laws that keep you from only going so far. So there's all kinds of different views of people, and we have freedoms to do what we want to do a lot of ways. If everybody just wants to be a good neighbor and get along with everybody, then what problem is there? There isn't any problem at all. Doesn't matter what color you are. Most people they would really like to be able to connect with different people. Sometimes they're just too busy. They got so many problems on their own, so you catch them when they're all fried in their brain. Like I've done that. I've had people get in my car and we just laughed and had a great time, and then they see me again and they're expecting me to be in the same mood. Well, sometimes I'm dealing with stuff and I'm just like kind of hanging in there. Hi, how are you? Oh, yeah. And I'm not on my A game at all. I'm having some fluctuations in my strength, so I'm not able to do that all the time. And some people are like that. They're struggling with stuff. Life is filled with so much pain, and some people they're struggling with stuff. So it's mostly not a race issue. It's not a skin color issue. It's a non-familiar. It's I'm having a bad day. I'm already tied up and busy with other stuff. I don't know this kind of thing. I'm just not there right now. Now the next one that's popped out is called homophobia, and this one is kind of like scary that this is even a thing. But politically, a lot of liberal people, they have a different view, and that's fine. Politicals, we're going to have difference of views and such like that. I know this is a propagated thing to help divide people, which is kind of annoying, but is what it is, right? Politically, yes, we disagree, no problem. 2, am I against you for your politics? I'm not against you for your politics, but I am in opposition to liberal politics because I think that they bring in communism and they bring it into destruction of the nation, and it's exceedingly harmful for all people, all of the nation. So politically, I'm against that because I think it's dangerous for everyone. It ruins nations, it ruins families, it ruins a lot of things. Pride parades, I believe that is immodest. It used to be illegal to be immodest in the streets. And pride is bad. Pride is also something that ruins nations, and also the way that they carry out their pride is a very extremely perverse and wicked thing as well. So I'm not against you for those, but I'm against the pride parades, yes. Perverse lifestyle. I'm against the lifestyle, but I'm not against you. I love people, but I don't believe that what you're doing is right. And I'm pretty sure that there was a time in your life when you knew that that was not right. And if it's not true, then maybe it's because our generation is so used to evil that this is what we go on. Homosexual lifestyle, anything to do with the same sex, anything is like this. This is all fiercely evil, wicked abominations in the eyes of God. I'm against sin. I'm against sin in your life. I'm against sin in my life. I'm against sin in your church. I'm against sin in my church. I'm against sin, period, because I agree with God against everything that he calls sin. perverse lifestyle is of the devil. The gay gene, I disagree with that too. I don't believe in a gay gene. Now, at the same time, I do believe that over time, there's a lot of stuff that goes into our food supplies that may have an effect on people chromosome, on people on a bio. I don't know how to describe this, like a genetically modified to make people more lean towards the gay style of life. That has been something brought up. I don't know that it's true. I don't know how to prove it, but it's not too far-fetched for me to believe that at all. So if that's certain things have made animals acting more gay over the time, then how's to say it wouldn't happen to people as well? So is there something in the chemicals that chemically makes people different, chromosomally make people different, to genetically modify them? That's very true. So there's something to that. There's your gay gene. But nobody was born gay the way God made you to be. Nobody was born gay. I've heard about the other issues about people being born part man, part woman. I don't believe that's God's doing. I believe that's what happens when the fall of man happens. And there's a lot of things happen. I don't believe it's accidental. I think it's purposeful by the people who love the devil and love the system of the world, because they love self, card, and everything else. And it's of the devil. Do I hate you personally? Am I against you personally? No. Violent actions, if homophobic people are doing things violent against other people in the streets or whatever, I'm against that. And if someone's doing violent actions against homosexuals, I'm against that. I'm against homosexuals insulting and degrading other people, and I'm against other people degrading you. I care about every person, and every people has a right to do things within an order. Everyone in the world has their views, and everyone has to keep within the order of the laws of the land, as long as the laws of the land can coincide with our Constitution. That's the laws of our land. That's the ones I believe in. So as state laws change, the Constitution doesn't change, and therefore I don't change. So violence against anybody, anywhere, I'm against it. Personally, I love everybody, and I wish good for everybody. All these things. I don't agree with a lot of these things, but I love the gay people. I dearly love. And I came out of a mild form of bi-curious lifestyle before. I never carried very far into it, so I definitely understand it a lot. There's a lot of things that can make you very, very hurt, and then open to deceptions, so you can find some place that will accept you and be familiar and such like that. I don't know all the reasons why people turn gay, but there's a lot of reasons. A lot of it's because of pride and pain. And I have nothing but compassion for people who get trapped into this demonic situation, and I hope that you can get out. There is a lot of people who've gotten out, and I hope that you'll find the Lord's way for you to get out as well. Islamophobia. Am I against you because you're from the Middle East? No. It's okay that you're from the Middle East. It's not your fault to be born there. I wouldn't want to be there because I'm unfamiliar with it. It'd be really hard for me to be over there. Am I against you because of your olive skin? No. Your skin looks like mine. It's great. Whether it was darker or lighter, I don't care. Skin color, nobody cares about that. Nobody, most people don't. Religion, we have religious differences. Yes, we do. Your book is different than mine. There may be similarities some places. No. I love your food. Some of your food is actually extremely delicious. And the way your women dress, a lot of them, I actually agree with that. My wife actually has an Islamic dress that she used for our wedding, but she didn't get it in time, so we took wedding pictures afterward. So religiously, you're as different from me as I am from you. There is people who are Islamic people who are some of the most sweetest and gentle, decent people you'll ever meet. No question about it. I met a 17-year-old Caucasian from Albania. I drove him, and I challenged him about his doctrines. I said, did you know that your prophet married a 6-year-old? And he said, well, we don't do that anymore. I don't know why they did it before, but we don't do that anymore. And I said, what about FGM? What about all these things? I know a lot about Islam to challenge Muslims, but he's like, we don't do that kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, good. In my opinion, that's, thank God you're not a real Muslim. But in his idea, we're decent people and we follow Islam. We believe in Allah. I'm like, okay, you're very nice people, and they treat their women like queens. He said, we don't hurt our women. We don't beat our wives. I said, the Sahih Bukhari says to do so, and the Quran says to do so. And the story about Aisha having green skin because she got beaten, and it matched the color of her dress. It was green, the same as her dress. And that's That is what the book says. But they don't believe in that. They just want to be nice. So good. Religiously, we're different. Okay. Refugees coming in to Germany or into Europe, I think that it's good. If there's a time for that to happen in a legitimate basis and it happens in a way that's facilitated properly, where it's not going to cause damage to Europe, then sure. But the way it happened in Europe, as I understand it, was horrifying. So that's why people started to name them rape-fugees instead of refugees, because they hurt so many women. 1 million cases of rape in Europe within a few months is actually bad. And getting inside the trains, the public trains, and screaming Allah Akbar and leading in your Islamic chants in Europe is bad. And one lady, she said that she dressed in burqa and she walked around her own town in Europe and said, I feel more comfortable wearing a burqa now because it's being taken over by Islam so much. I'm not okay with that. Refugees, we come to be helped. And you don't necessarily, when you are a refugee, you have your practices, but you can't dominate where you're at. They're there to help you. And then you get back on your feet and then you start your own thing someplace else, but don't use their blessings to carry on with your stuff and take over their thing. No, that's not fair. That's not the way it's supposed to be done. I think it's propagated, but I do believe it's not fair. So refugees, when you're a refugee, you come under their authority and you do what they say to do. Otherwise, be on your own and you can just whatever. But that's the way it is. You're under their authority now. And yes, you can practice your own thing to a certain degree, but to take over everything else, that's not fair. That's not fair at all. But it's propagated, so of course it's going to happen. Violent actions. I'm against violence. I already said that before. If there was a Muslim who got beat up by some American who thought that, oh, they're Muslims, so we have to beat them up. It's like if someone hurt that Albanian kid in my car, I would have been defending him, because you don't hurt people. You never hurt people unless it's in a desperate situation where there's no other choice. But you hurt someone because of their beliefs, you are the bad guy. You're not the good guy, you're the bad guy. You don't hurt someone unless it's absolutely necessary because you're doing something in the moment to protect somebody in an extremely difficult situation. That's the Good Samaritan law. Violent actions, obviously, for the most part, is absolutely not okay. When police do that to people who are doing wrong, I don't care what color they are. If the police tell you to knock it off, to drop your weapon, to stop stealing, stop beating up people, stop raping, and you don't listen to them, they have every right to be strong with you and restrain you and make you listen, because you're not doing right before God or for the good of the universe. So since you're not caring about other people, they had to do that to you. They shouldn't have to. They shouldn't have to do that to you. You should listen when they talk to you. Okay, now it comes to the Jews thing. This is a tough topic, isn't it? But I don't like people telling me that because you don't like me because of this, or you're anti-Semitic or whatever like this. This is another stupid thing that we have to get through here. Which kind of Jew are we talking about? Are you anti-Semitic? If you say something that's like about Israel and some sort and it's not colored the way that they want it to be heard, and oh, you're against me. Geographical Jew, people who live in Israel. That's what I mean by that. Number one, do you live in Israel, whether you are Jewish blood, Israeli blood, or you're not? I'm not against you for where you live. Done. So if I mentioned someone lives over there and I said something that was a little off about Israel, the geographical area, I didn't say anything racist. Don't use the race card today. The bloodline Jew, you are Jewish by blood. Am I against you for that? No, I'm not against you for being bloodline Jew. I don't have any problem with what bloodline you are. God made the bloodlines, and praise the Lord. Boom, live it up. Not against you for that. Religious Jew, you have a different view than me. If you're following the Sanhedrin, the Tanakh, and the Talmud, if these are your books religiously, we are astronomically different. Especially if you're also adding the Kabbalah to that, I'm very, very different from that. If you're following just the Tanakh and that's what you really believe in, we have a lot of the same views, and you're talking about the same God. Problem is, you're not current with Him in His covenant. So religious Jews, I believe these are the people who are going to be unified with the Christians later on when they come to the true Messiah. Because outside of Christ, there is no salvation. Everybody must come through Jesus Christ, who was a Jew on earth, but he is the King of kings and Lord of lords in eternity. Amen. So don't let someone say, oh, are you anti-Semitic? No, because I don't like the things that are going on in Israel. I don't like some of the things that they're doing is wrong. If they're doing things violently, of course I don't like that. I'm not against their bloodline. I'm not against their race. I do have religious differences, as they have different. They're just as different religiously as I am with them. We are equally different in our views. So if you're not going to get on their case for being different than me, then don't get on my case for being different than them. Okay, that's the religious answer for everybody. We're equally different. So they hate me just as much as you say I hate them, which they probably don't hate me at all, and I don't hate them at all. Zionist Jew. Now this is where it gets crazy. Okay, Zionist Jew, evidently this is the people who are kind of like taking the reins of the red dragon, so to speak. And if you find out what the Zionist Jews are actually doing, who, according to Johnny Todd, I thought I heard him say that you don't have to be an actual bloodline Jew to be a Zionist. You could be a part of the Zionist thing just because you're a part of their cabal. You're a part of their Talmud. You're a part of their Sanhedrin. You're a part of their twisted version of the Tanakh, you know. But these are globalists. This is a globalist Jew, a Zionist Jew, Talmudic Jew. These are the people who evidently, in a lot of cases, if not total case, rule the world. And I believe that they do, in a sense, have the reins of the red dragon, or they're the ones with their reins in their mouth, led by the red dragon, led by Satan, and the globalists. So any type of globalist, this is a big issue. And so when you start talking about, oh, I'm against this and this, and I've seen these evil things happening, this is the injustices that I don't like to see happening, and then, oh, you're anti-Semitic, are you? I was like, no, I'm not against you from where you live. If you happen to live there, I'm not against you. If you happen to have Israeli blood, I don't have a problem with you at all for having Israeli blood. I don't have a problem with your religion. You have the freedom of religion. As long as you don't hurt anybody, you're great. But if you're a globalist and you're a part of something that is going to manipulate and hurt people and destroy people on such a massive global level, then of course I'm against that, because it's not good for God and it's not for the good of the universe. So therefore I'm against it. Yes, for evil I'm against. For good I'm for. God is for good. Devil's for bad. If you're for the bad, you're for the devil, you're for my enemy, and I'm against that. All the good you do, good job. For the bad you do, wicked. And you're going to face the judgment of God for it. And so the way I see the Zionist Jews is kind of like this. It's like Satan wants to be like the Most High, okay, on one level. And you see how Israel has always been trying to live for Satan, live for the world, but they could never maintain it because it was sinful. God says, you're my people, and now I'm going to knock you down. I'm going to let you get knocked down by all these world powers. So now they got the experience of seeing how the powers need to be, the powers that be need to be. And so they tried to seem like they're trying to emulate that by unifying with many, uniting with all the nations and such like that. That's kind of what it looks like to me. You're not an anti-Semitic for that. I'm going to get back to the Zionist thing in just 1 second. I'm going to start to say something to help clear up the race issue even further. If you're a Christian, you're not a racist. And if you're racist, you're not Christian. If you're racist, you will burn in hell, okay? If you are a racist and you hate people for the color of their skin, you will burn in hell, because that's unchristian to do so. You have to love your neighbor, love your enemies, but love not the world. So you have to love our Jewish friends, but you can't love your Jewish friends. Okay, the Jewish enemies, who are the ones ruling the world, you have to love them from a certain degree, but these people are unified with Satan, trying to destroy the world, or carrying out the evil side of what God has ordained. Okay, of course he knows this is all going to happen. But why did God split up the people in the first place? Why did God split up all the nations in the first place? He did it for this, as nothing will be impossible for them if they were able to unify at the Tower of Babel. That's why God changed their languages. They didn't understand each other anymore. They weren't familiar. They weren't racist, but they split up because they didn't understand each other. And they get around different regions of the world and find places to work, and their skin changes colors over time because it's hotter some places. And some places they get hairier because their bodies get stronger because they have to build their things differently. They have different ways of taking care of the basic needs of life, and over time they look different because of their climate, because of a lot of different reasons. They start to look different. But that's the reason why God changed them. That way they would continue to need God. every culture around the world was supposed to remain needing God. He says, I split you up so you would continue to need me and not need me. I don't want you to think you can carry on without me, but if you all unify together, then you won't need me. So when you have people like a white person marrying a black person, is that okay? It is okay, because as long as they don't not need God, that's the whole point. It's like you can mix cultures together as long as they need God together. If they don't need God, now you're in the wrong. Now you're in trouble. Okay, that's why God split it up. So it's okay to bring people. It's okay to bring people back together again, as long as that's not a globalist issue. Okay, but these globalists do. They want to bring people together for the wrong reasons. So they will not need God. They can be God themselves. They can be like the devil, who wants to be like the Most High. This is what the globalist is all about. This is what the Zionist is all about. That's what's wrong. So when you're thinking about all these different conspiracy topics, you can trace them all back to the leadership who it is. It's all Zionist Jewish plans. They are the ones who rule the money, so they can thus rule the world. And that's exactly how it is. I don't care who rules the laws of the land. As long as I can control the money, I can control everything. And that's exactly what they're doing. Why? Because they want the power, just like the devil has the power. He wants to have the power. And they're working together, tightly together. So the kind of the queen of the whole thing over the Illuminati, the secret societies, United Nation, the entertainment world, the international bankers, the Bilderbergers, the military, the medical world, the media, the New World Order, the Council of Churches, the Masonic Law, the Vatican, the Trilateral Commission, and on and on and on and on and on. Trace it all back to the Zionist Jews. That's the kind of understanding that I've been kind of getting lately from one kind brother. You know who you are. And it makes sense. It makes sense that all these things, they're all kind of under their thing. They're kind of like unified there, or built by them. I always traced it all back to Rome. I've always traced it back to this, and this. I thought the Bilderbergers were the kings. I thought that the Black Pope was the main leader of the whole world. A lot of these things make a lot of sense, but this is another one we see. People who've got historical, they've been historically being knocked down all the time, and now they're going to be unifying with a lot of different people in order that they can kind of prop themselves up and rule the world from there. So it makes sense that they're going to be the one raising up the Antichrist. They're the ones who are going to be making the global finance, and they're the ones who are going to be making the global religion and global everything through the Council of Churches, through the military, through the media. I mean, everything will be through them. They're the ones shaping the whole world. So that's kind of where that is right now. And if you say, oh, the Zionists are doing this, oh, you're anti-Semitic, huh? It's like, no, don't change the subject. Don't play the race card with me. Don't play the self card. You want all the privileges of being able to do whatever you want and hurt people and break the laws of God and break the laws of the good of the universe. No, if you're a good person, you care about all these things. Now let's go back to another thing. Let's take it on another level. If you believe the race card is bad, let's look, and we know that the race card is really not a race card anyway. It's just change the subject so I can promote self. I want to play the self card. It's not a race card. It's not a change the subject card. It's a self card. The self card wants all the privileges and no punishments, all the self-exaltation and no degrading. That's what they want. And that doesn't just happen with race issues. It also happens with other domestic issues as well. People in business, people in the community, people who are in the state under a certain nation, they all have different parameters and laws and rules, and family and church and marriage. There's a lot of different agreements, that things that should be happening and the things that should not be happening. Expectations of everybody in all these unified situations. We are all expected to do right and not do wrong. In every situation where people are connected, working together in any way, there has to be a leader and those who follow the rules and the specific goals together. They must do things as promised and must not do things as promised. There's some things you have to do and things you have to not do. And from here, let's get to work and learn together and carry out the vision. And this goes for all those different connections. Let's just say marriage, one of the examples. Well, when someone is not doing what they're supposed to be doing and they get notified, do they change the subject? Are they playing the dumb race card? Are they playing the change the subject card? Are they playing the self card of what I want? Don't get me in trouble. Don't tell me I'm doing wrong. Don't tell me I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And they start telling you all the things that they are doing. It's like, that's great. I know you're doing those things. But what I said, you're not doing this thing that you said, You did all the other things right, but you said you were going to buy a block of cheese at the grocery store. Did you get that block of cheese? Well, I did all these other things, but you didn't do the other thing you promised to do. Or when they find you doing something that you're not supposed to be doing. You promised that you wouldn't talk like this. You promised that you wouldn't go this direction. You promised that you wouldn't carry on in this way. Well, I haven't killed anybody, have I? It's like changing the subject. It's just as stupid as the race card. It's a change the subject card, self-preservation, but it's not good for God and it's not good for the good of the universe. Therefore, we have to judge it just the same. If the race card is stupid and the self card is stupid, if the change the subject card is stupid, brothers and sisters, it happens here. It happens in the church. The leader comes to somebody in the church who's messing around, finds out that the choir director's talking too closely to someone else's wife, and says, "Hey, that's a little too close to the opposite sex." "Well, I'm not out there just, Well, you did do what I just said you did, and you need to stop. Otherwise, you need to leave the church. Well, and that's the change of subject card, just as stupid as the race card. It's the self card, caring about self. Don't judge me. Don't do anything wrong. Don't tell me I'm wrong. It's really, really stupid. So, long video, I know, but it's a lot to get in there. We don't want you to get your mind twisted up. We want to be able to break things down for what it is. Don't let people tell you that you're racist because you are against violence and evil and breaking laws and breaking God's laws and not caring about communities and not caring about the good of everybody and not being fair. Don't call people racist because they're not familiar or they don't have time or they're focused. They got their own problems and their mind somewhere else. We've got to be careful how we judge things. Let's judge it carefully and fairly as good Christians. And if you don't want to serve God, can we at least be a good to our neighbors anyway and just be good brothers and sisters in the Constitution? Amen.